Now that the Francis Scott Key Bridge trusses have been blown off of the Dali ship, they wasted no time getting right to work. The very next morning, bright and early, they were at it, already removing the debris. So here we're going to show you what they're doing now to prepare Dali before they can move the ship back to the Seagirt terminal. We are also showing you all sorts of video from on board Dali after the bridge truss was blown off it, so you can see firsthand what they are seeing.
Thanks. Nope. Three for that's it. Three. Let's sign in. That's good. Okay, good.
Now they have to sign in.
To try and get out.
Yep. You gotta stay physically fit. I got it. This one's above my head.
Matter of hanging on.
Extra danger.
There's a lot of danger up above.
Take a look at this mess here, man. That's where they still have part of the bridge truss still sitting over the top of the ship. Look how tall that remaining bridge truss piece is. It's deceivingly tall. And there's the anchor chain. Things all exposed now. This is the whole part of the bow that was ripped open from when the bridge truss and everything collapsed on top of it, and the roadway too. And before, you really couldn't see much of this damage because it was all blocked, by the bridge truss. But now that most of the stuff has been removed off of there, you could see everything. And there's the 4-lane roadway right there. And they were already craning away the next day. Just look at that mess. That is the gouge in the side of the bow right there of the Dali. And there, sticking up out of the water, was the other part of the bridge truss that was blocking the channel, which they had already removed like a week ago. But it's just a twisted mess of busted up roadway and rebar. So then they sent the crane down and they were hooking up the cage, and they're going to suspend these two guys from it, and they're going to be inspecting everything from just a few feet up above and try to make sense of what they need to do and how they're going to move things next. Look at that mooring line there. So these guys right now are floating directly over the gouge in the side of the Dali bow, and they're hooking up to this big piece of metal here that they think they can move away. So that's what they're trying to do, is just find the easiest low-bearing fruit here that they can remove with the least amount of effort and do it safely. And look, in the channel right next to it, they're still trying to smash the roadway. And here's a great unobstructed view now of the roadway looking, and you can see that the bridge truss is not there anymore. So it was kind of great to see that big clear view. And I wonder if the cone is still standing there. I know we've seen it in some of the other pictures. When this 4-lane roadway came crashing down on top of the Dali bow, the cone was still standing. And you got the Weeks crane is back in action here. So here he was removing a larger piece of steel. So that's what they're doing. It's very tedious to just keep getting all of these smaller pieces out of the way, getting ready to refloat the Dali. And remember, there's still probably 10,000 tons of water in the ballast that they put in here to keep the Dali from shifting during the detonations. That piece is a lot heavier than it looks. That thing is probably about 60 feet long. And then this video from Stream Time Live was shot the next day. Now watch where the yellow cursor is. See that piece of truss that after the explosion it was left sitting up against the side of the Dali? You're going to see the Chessie 1000 crane here move that truss. They're going to pick it up and lift it off. So I knew this would be a piece of cake piece for them to get out of the way. And then this part right here is sped up over the course of 2 minutes. But you can see how very slow going it was, even across those 2 minutes, just to get it up and off. Then Jesse started to cart it over to Sparrow's Point, and this sequence here that you're looking at took exactly 7 minutes, and all they did was turn it around and get the barge over and get it across the river a little ways, not even halfway over. But it just goes to show you how slow they have to move with this piece precariously dangling just off the water. Now, if you saw my video the other night on the NTSB's preliminary report on the Dali's crash into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore there, they gave us a few nuggets of information, but they really left us with more questions than answers. So I do plan to have a couple of more videos coming up that explain things a little easier. I want to go through the mechanisms of exactly step by step what they were doing in the engine room to the electrical panels there at the control center that may or may not have contributed to the power outage. So we're going to be investigating this more going forward. And then of course the very next day after the detonations, all of the barges and cranes were right back into position again. And it's just amazing how, watch this, you can see the ball dropping there, boom. So they're still breaking up the roadway underneath where that truss was that used to stretch across the channel right there on the starboard side of the Dali. And there's a great aerial view showing just the crushed containers there, and the 4-lane roadway still on the ship. So they still have a lot of work to do here to clear this channel, but look how much they're pulling up here. And even though they're using that smaller red claw, that claw can still pull up quite a bit of debris. So you have the 2 claws going at it. The Unified Command also provided us with these photos taken after the detonations. So just look at those crushed containers. Whoa. And this right here you're looking at is the concrete pier cap on top of the pillars, and then this picture here shows the great scale of how big the gouge is in the side of the Dali there with the guy standing there, and there's the anchor chain behind them. And there's the 4-lane highway stacked on top of some section of bridge truss, so I don't even know how they're going to get all of that off of there. The Unified Command had said the other day that they do plan to float the Dali over to the dock with the 4-lane roadway still on top of it. So I hope it doesn't weigh the Dali down too much that they can't refloat it. And there's another shot of the anchor chain again, just amazing. And there's a shot of that big piece of metal I showed you earlier on the video. And just remember, last week this view was completely obscured by the bridge truss that was sitting right there. And just take a look at that precision cut there. That was awesome from the detonation. And then this view here, these containers are the ones that they said some of them had the hazardous materials, and it was too close to the blast zone here, and they didn't want to take the chance of anything catching fire. And so that's why at the last minute they made those changes to the charges that caused that large section of the truss to still be sitting up on top of the deck. But at least that huge part of the bridge truss with its unknown amounts of tension and different members is now removed, so that takes a lot of unknowns out of the equation. So here is the remaining part of the bridge truss sticking up out of the water on the starboard side of Dali. And remember, the 4-lane roadway is still in there, and that's what you saw breaking up earlier in the video, the ball. And these guys are probably wondering, how are we going to get this piece off the Dali? And meanwhile, the red grapple claw is coming up with tons of debris off the bottom of the river. There's a nice close-up of the ship's anchor chain. And check this out here. That giant concrete piece there, that's the entire top of the concrete pier cap, which is sitting underneath the road debris. So you only see part of it when you're looking at it from the side. As they continue their dredging, this is what they do. They drop it in the water and scoop up whatever they can and drop it on the barge. Now, you know, here on this channel, we do more than just engineering disasters. We do the Home Depot and Costco and Lowe's walkthroughs, and we also do the big DIY projects for your house. And after this video, make sure you check out this one over here of the double-decker cabinets that I did up in that kitchen. That's an incredible engineering project with a refrigerator, a large refrigerator at a 45-degree angle in the corner. Very difficult project. Check that one out. And then when you're done with that one, make sure you check out this video here, which shows you everything you need to know on how to install laminate flooring in your house. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on the next one.